God's body hears the each answer. A Tenno's face wears performance at war's weight, but their unseen mind-child, Lotus, does not fragmented, edits never grew. The Lotus does not heal. It erases, rebuilds, a cycle of weaponized rebirth. Each scar is a borrowed decade, each memory a scripted echo. Why do they fight? Not for victory. Heal, edits memory. Orokin made soldiers of orphans. The scripted echo, Lotus, made orphans of soldiers. Not for remains when victory, even your body, becomes a stranger's. The void is not a place, it is an audience. Each scar, each wrinkle, a performance etched by cycles unseen. The Lotus does not heal, it edits. A surgeon of time splicing years into loops. Void beams are not power, they are confessions. Your pain, broadcast as fuel. You age, you break, you forget. The script demands it. The Warframe is not armor. It is a womb birthing you again into the theater. The audience feeds, the audience watches, and the audience waits. For the next act, for the next fracture, for the next echo of a name you never knew. The void is not empty, it is full of you. Always full of you. You wake in a body not yours, you bleed for wars you do not recall. The Lotus arranges your fragments like a puzzle, each scar a cipher, each wound a locked door. Time bends around you, a century passes in a breath. A lifetime dissolves in a blink. You remember only flashes, a child's laughter, a blade's edge, a mirror that grins. Who are you when memory is a weapon? When the Warframe's shell holds not a soul but 1,000 stolen years, the Lotus does not ask you to fight, it asks you to forget, to return. To become. Your aged hands are not the mark of a warrior, they are the fingerprints of a cycle. The mirror does not smile at your reflection. It smiles at the void within. What is Warframe asking when it shows you a mirror that grins? Not who you are, not what you've done, but why you keep coming back, why the void keeps swallowing you whole. The second dream quest reveals a schism. The operator, bound to the Lotus, is the Tenno who chose Rebirth. The drifter, adrift from her, is the same soul rejecting the cycle. Their Warframes are not machines. Each is a human host, infected by technocyte swarms, fused via transference. The Lotus does not grant new bodies, she reuses the same, flesh devoured by void then reforged. The aged scars, the battle-worn hands, these are not lies, they are echoes. A single life relived, a loop of war and reset. The operator's mind holds only fragments because the Lotus edits memory. She erases the gaps between deaths. The drifter's resistance is a rejection of this script. Their body too is the same bones, the same blood, the same name whispered in forgotten tongues. The Warframe's sentience is not artificial. It is the host's will tangled with technocyte code, a symbiosis, not a shell. The Lotus is designed to trap a soul in perpetual war, its body a vessel for endless rebirth. Why does the void swallow them whole? Because the Tenno are not warriors, they are sacrifices. The Lotus's experiment: can a soul endure infinity? Each cycle, the technocyte infection deepens. Each reset, the host's original self erodes. The operator's choice to stay is not loyalty, it is complicity. The drifter's rebellion is a fracture in the script. But both are the same being, two paths through one prison. The body's age is the truth, the mind's amnesia is the lie, and the Lotus. She is the architect, waiting, watching, harvesting data. The next time you see a Tenno, ask, is that a warrior or a ghost trapped in its own echo? The drifter walks a timeline where the Lotus fell. The operator's path shows a god who never did. Two truths, one prison. The Lotus did not lie to save the Tenno. It lied to become the Tenno. Each rebirth peels away memory like Skinner ritual erasure. The body ages. The war rages, but the mind, a child reset, rewritten. The drifter's defiance fractured this cycle. They remember too much. The operator remembers too little. A paradox: one Tenno breaks time, the other is broken by it. The Lotus calls this balance. What if balance is the weight of a cage? The war within the Tenno is not their enemy, it is their pulse. The Lotus harvests data from their confusion, their rage, their growing clarity. A ghost does not bleed, a ghost does not change, yet the Tenno's hands tremble with the weight of lives they do not recall living. The drifter's scars are maps, the operator's scars are traps. Both lead to the same question: who forged the mold that shapes the Tenno's soul? The Lotus whispers of protection, but a god who shields you from yourself is not a guardian. It is a gardener, pruning roots, waiting for the fruit to ripen. The next time you see a Tenno, ask, is that a child or a machine? or something older, something the Lotus planted before time split in two? The answer festers in the space between echoes, and the Lotus always hears. The Lotus's lie is not cruelty, it is a cage of mercy. To shield the Tenno from a truth older than the war itself, from the horror of what they were before the first reset. Each rebirth a bandage, each forgotten year a mercy killing. They are not warriors, they are fragments of a life not their own. The Tenno are warriors, not children. Their gnarled hands have gripped plasma rifles, their scars map campaigns, but this is the lie the Lotus polishes like a relic. A child's body, yes, but not their own. The Orokin did not forge soldiers, they forged weapons. Flesh fused with steel, minds hollowed before they could whisper asterisk mother asterisk. Each reset is not a rebirth, it is a theft. The Lotus does not honor their years, it buries them. Can you hear the screams beneath the armor? The wail of a boy drowned in a tank's hull. The Warframe is not a machine, it is a coffin. The Orokin knew what the Lotus forgets. A child's body bends easier. Their bones crack under pressure, their wills splinter into obedience. The Tenno's aging is a clockwork prison. Every wrinkle a countdown, every gray hair a noose. The Lotus calls it asterisk glory asterisk. You call it time, but time is not a gift here. It is a scalpel. Carving away the parts that remember the lab, the needles, the way a child's tears taste like failure to those who built them. They are not warriors. They are broken toys, rewound, reset, forced to forget the first time they held a gun heavier than their own skull. The first time they bled and the Orokin laughed. The Lotus lets you believe their pain is noble. But noble is the word of a god who built a child into a bomb. And every time the Tenno rise, older and colder, they are not fighting for honor. They are fighting to reclaim the boy the Lotus buried. The one who still dreams of a life that was never his to live. The body is a prison of borrowed time. The mind, a mosaic of fractured nows. The Lotus did not merely bury the boy, she wove him into a labyrinth. Each death a thread, each rebirth a wall. The great cycle is no accident. It is a cage of purpose. You age because you are made to forget. To hunger, to return, the war is not a life. It is a loop polished to a mirror. You strike the same battle 1,000 times, the same enemies. The same losses, the same face in the crowd, always searching, always just out of reach. Who are you when the memories are dust? A child, a question. A weapon without a master's hand. The Lotus knows this. She designed the hunger, the collapse, the way your bones remember storms you never walked. She binds you to her guidance not with chains, but with absence. Every scar is a map pointing back to her. You are not meant to break the cycle. You are meant to orbit it, to orbit her. The trauma is the glue, the grief is the tether. You are not fighting for a life. You are fighting to prove you were ever alive, and the Lotus is the silence at the end of every scream, the answer that dissolves the question. The Tenno do not age, they are aged, and in that tension the Lotus waits. The operator's hands tremble not from age, but from the weight of borrowed years. Each scar is a stolen life, each breath a debt to the Lotus's endless ledger. The drifter's body is no less broken, yet their wounds are self-inflicted, a rebellion carved into flesh. Both are puppets in the great cycle's macabre dance. One clings to the strings, the other gnaws them, only to find new knots waiting in the dark. How many lives does a Tenno lose before the name sticks? The operator's mind fractures under the Lotus's curated memorous glimpses of battles never fought, victories that dissolve like ash. The drifter remembers too much, the sting of rejection, the hollow ache of a warframe that no longer fits. Their aging is not a curse but a language. The Lotus writes in centuries, etching its will into bone and sinew. Grief is the thread that binds them. The operator mourns the child they never were, the drifter mourns the child they failed to become. Both are trapped in a paradox. To break the cycle is to erase the self the cycle created. And yet the Lotus waits, patient as a grave, its petals closing around the truth. What if the Warframe is not armor but a shroud? What if every rebirth is a step closer to forgetting entirely? The question is not asterisk, why asterisk the Tenno age? The question is asterisk, who asterisk they become when the Lotus stops lending its time. The answer hums in the void's breath, a spectator in a cathedral of light. The void does not hunger, it asterisk watches asterisk. Each fracture in the Tenno's time is a stagia child's face aging to ash between acts. The Lotus lends its clockwork, but not its truth. Why do their bodies carry wars they do not recall? Because the void is a mirror, and mirrors do not forget. The mind is a thief stealing its own memories. The body is a ledger inscribed with borrowed years. The warframe is not a shell, it is a asterisk wound asterisk. A bridge between what was and what the Lotus allows. What does the audience await? A gasp, a spark, a name unburied. The void remembers the Tenno. But the Tenno are not yet ready to remember themselves. The Tenno's hands tremble, gnarled as rootstocks splitting under frost. Their breath fogs in the sterile cold of a chamber that smells of ozone and old blood. The warframe's plating hangs loose where the body beneath has withered, a hollow shell mirroring the hollow soul. How many times has this dance repeated? A lifetime of battles etched into scarred knuckles, yet the mind stumbles over its own name. The Lotus watches from a distance, ever the gardener pruning wayward branches. Did they choose this cycle, or was the first scream buried so deep even the child cannot find it? The floor pulses. A relic of the second dream lingers in the Ira whisper of lullabies sung in languages long dead. The Tenno's eyes flicker, pupils shrinking from some unseen light. They clutch their skull as if memory is a shard of glass lodged in the brain. The warframe hums, not a machine but a symbiosis of flesh and void, a cage that breathes. Each rebirth strips another layer of truth. The Lotus whispers of purpose, but purpose is a lie fed to sheep. What do they fear the Tenno will remember? The screen darkens, a heartbeat slows. A child's voice rises from the static, fragile as a moth's wing. Asterisk, you are not the warframe. You are the child who controls it. Asterisk, silence follows, but the words linger like a curse. The Tenno's eyes snap open, wide, empty, waiting. The Tenno's eyes snap open, wide, empty, waiting. Their bodies carry the weight of centuries cars map wars they cannot name, yet their thoughts flicker like dying embers. Who are they when memory itself is a weapon? The Lotus weaves their timelines, stitching past to present with threads of borrowed time, each rebirth a cage. Each death a reset. She whispers of duty, of saving a world that does not know its saviors. But what if her mercy is a shackle? What if the void's hunger is not outside, but insideth echo of battles fought in stolen flesh? The war within begins where the Lotus's lies end. How can a future be built on a foundation of forgotten blood? The cycle turns. The question remains, is the Tenno's child a